Hi, my name's Jack Swanson, and I will be singing the role of Don Ramiro in Rossini's Cinderella. So Ramiro is both exciting and a challenging role, and I would say the thing that's most exciting about this role is that he gets to sing one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the greatest Rossini arias. It's Si ritrovarla io giuro. And for a tenor, or especially for a Rossini tenor, this is one of the best arias ever written. In Act 2, he gets to come out fresh after intermission and sing this just incredible piece with high notes, fast notes, a beautiful middle section with legato, beautiful singing. And so that's really one part of this role that I really love to do. But at the same time, it's really difficult. So it's a lot of Rossini's writing is difficult for the singer, and it kind of takes them to the major extremities. There's low parts, there are a lot of middle voice singing, and then he's obviously got the extreme high notes as well. So this role is challenging that way. And then from an acting perspective, this role is challenging because a lot of the time Ramiro is actually a quiet observer. He's a lot of time just watching as a lot of the action is going on. And so he has kind of an important part of standing there and having to convey to the audience what he's thinking without actually saying a lot, especially in the first act of Cinderella. So this is something that's not normal for me in a lot of productions. A lot of the time I'm very involved in the drama, and it's fun to play that in this opera for me. The way that Rossini tends to show these characters of nobility is by writing a lot of coloratura. So in a lot of his roles, the people that are, either very genuine, kind people, or, like, for example, the prince is a very rich and affluent man. And so a lot of the time, Rossini will write these beautiful, long, fast coloratura lines, like he does for Ramiro. It's the same in Barbara of Seville for the Count. He has this big aria at the end with all these fast notes, and he does a really good job of essentially showing the audience that this is an important person because of the way he writes the music. And it's not just because they're rich or affluent. Like, for example, Cinderella is essentially destitute in her own home, but at the end of the opera, she has this incredible aria with all these fast notes because it's showing how genuine and kind and how good of a person she is as well. I've been very fortunate to be at the Rossini Opera Festival twice now. My first year I sang Signor Bruschino, and this last summer I sang Almaviva in Il Barbiere di Sevilla. And one thing that was really cool this summer is that I actually got to work with Lorenzo Passerini, who is conducting our Cenerentola. So he and I really got to discover one of Rossini's most important works in Barbiere and really learn how each other feel about this music, and we worked well together. And so it's been really fun to come back to another piece after Pesaro, after the Rossini Opera Festival, another Rossini piece with Lorenzo, and kind of rediscover this music. Even though so much of it is so different than Barbiere, there's still that concrete Rossini style that the two of us have kind of already figured out between us. This cast is really phenomenal. It's Isabel in Cenerentola. She's done this role so many times, and there's something to the layers and the depth that you can bring to a character after you've done it so many times. This is my 5th time portraying this role. It's not a role that I've, like Barbiere, I've done 13, 14 times at this point, so I'm still discovering parts of the role, and that's a fun thing for me because I always have different people on stage. We have Alessandro Corbelli, who I actually did this show with in Chicago this last February, but a completely different production. So the two of us kind of get to bring our experience from a totally different production to this one. And it's just a lot of fun to both play with people that I've never been on stage with and also people that I've shared the stage with many times. And this is a group that I've really enjoyed building this show together, and I think we're gonna put together something pretty special. So my wife and I met in a production of Leonard Bernstein's Candide about 6 years ago. And Candide is also a bit of a love story, not as much as Cinderella, but for us it definitely was. And it's actually interesting to compare. I mean, of course, there's always nuance between a real 21st century relationship and going back to a story like Cinderella, but I do remember the first day of rehearsal of Candide in LA, which is where we met. And I remember first seeing my wife, and I was like, you know what, that's a very, very good person from the get-go. I could just tell by the way she spoke to people and the way that people smiled when she's around her. And I just went, you know what, I want to get to know this person. And just to kind of bring that back to this story, I think that's the same type of love that they're trying to show that Ramiro is searching for, is somebody that from the get-go you just see the way that they communicate or talk to, even if it's not you, other people, and you go, that's a good person, I want to get to know them. My hope is that the Houston audience takes away that everybody needs love. And in this production, it is important to see that the love that really attracts everybody is kindness. And this show is really about how put away all the expectations of what somebody is or who somebody is supposed to love. Maybe because, if we're going back to the time like Cinderella time or whatever, it would have been Ramiro's looking for somebody who's has a lot of money, who, has family dynamics that would go well with his. But what's really important is kindness, and it's what he gravitates to right away with Cenerentola. And my hope is that people that see this show and are experiencing it for the love aspect that it is, just remember that being kind goes a long way.